Jordan Syatt here from SyattFitness.com, and in this video I'm going to give you an in-depth overview of the technique for the Turkish Get Up. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, the Turkish Get Up is arguably the single best exercise for improving strength, mobility, stability, athletic performance, kinesthetic awareness, and everything in between. Now, unfortunately, the Turkish Get Up is often coached wrong and incorrectly, so I'm going to take you through step by step to make sure you're doing it perfectly with safe, efficient, and deliberate movements. Now, before I take you through the actual technique, I want to tell you a little bit of a story about why the Turkish Get Up was made and how it was used. Now, I'll tell you, whether or not this story is accurate, that's up for debate. This is how I was coached when I first started using kettlebells, and it's how I coach my clients because it helps them understand how to do it properly. So, the Turkish Get Up was made thousands and thousands of years ago, before there was any machinery, before there was anything to help people lift heavy weights. And what they would do is, they would use this movement, they'd use this movement pattern to help them lift heavy weights up and over their head. Now you can imagine if you're taking a heavy weight and lifting it up and over your head, you want to make sure you're using a safe movement, an efficient movement, and you're doing everything deliberately. It's not rushed, it's not going all very, very quickly. It's a nice, safe, slow, and efficient movement pattern. All right, now the Turkish Get Up, the first half of it alone has 7 individual movements, okay? So I'm gonna take you through each individual movement, talk about some of the common mistakes that happen at each movement, and make sure that you're doing it in the safest, most efficient, and deliberate way. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get on the ground. I'm going to take you through that first step. I'm going to go all the way through to the top and then walk you through all the way back down. So here we go. Down to the floor. The first movement is starting with the same leg and same arm up, okay? Ideally, you're holding weight above your head. Now what happens is, the first movement I'll show you is posting onto this elbow, the left forearm. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people make the mistake of trying to do this. They try and do a sit-up with weight. They try and sit up and curl here. A lot of times you'll see this, their leg will pop up, they'll try and come up here, and they'll have a struggle. But you can imagine, if you have weight up and over your head, the last thing you want to do is try and do a sit-up really powerfully and have the possibility of the weight falling on you. So we have to remember, it's a safe and efficient movement. So rather than trying to do a sit-up straight up like this, we're going to come here, and we're going to roll to the side, post up on that elbow immediately. This is a lot safer and a lot more efficient. That's step number 1. Step number 2, very simply, post up on that hand, okay? Now remember, always looking up at the weight the whole time. Step number 2 is post on that hand. Step number 3, I'm gonna drive through my right heel. I'm gonna send my hips up and towards the ceiling, squeezing my butt as hard as I can. Always looking up at the kettlebell. Step number 4, a lot of people make a mistake here. I'm gonna take my left leg, sweep it through, and place my knee directly beneath my hip. So I'm in this position. Now a lot of people, they aren't sure how to do this, and they'll try and come up from this position, and they'll struggle trying to get this leg back. They'll bring it over here. They're not sure where to put it. So what I coach my clients to do is, from this position, you want to sweep this leg under, and you want to rotate your torso towards the floor. So you rotate, and then you put that left knee directly beneath the left hip. Again, always looking up at the kettlebell. Now from here, we're going to use our abs. We're going to pull ourselves up to an upright position. Then we're going to come here and face forward, bringing our leg out in front into a good front lunge position and sweeping that back leg directly behind us. Now from here, I'm going to drive off the back toe, driving off the front heel. I'm going to come up into an upright stance here. Now one thing I want you to pay attention to, I'm going to go back down to the position I was just in, is I didn't let this knee cave inward. I kept that knee out in front of the toe. So when I drove up in that front lunge, my knee stayed in line, torso stayed tall, came up into a nice front lunge position. Again, kettlebell up here, nice and locked in my lats, shoulder down and away from my ear. This is halfway done with the movement. Now I'm going to reverse the movement. Left leg comes back into a nice controlled reverse lunge movement. Now from here, I'm going to take my back left foot, sweep it around. Here's where people make a big mistake. They try and take this hand, and we're supposed to come to the side and post up here. A mistake they'll make is they come back and they come straight back like this. So to give you another view, they're here. Instead of coming directly to the side, they'll come back. That's not what I want. That's not safe. with a big weight over your head. So instead, we're gonna come here, shortest distance to the floor, boom, post directly to the ground. Now from here, we're gonna sweep that leg through, hips up to the ceiling, squeezing our glute. Now our butt comes to the floor. Again, always looking up at the kettlebell. Now we're gonna go back down, elbow to the floor, back to the floor, and then we're gonna lower the weight to our chest and then roll over to the side. The last thing I want you to do, I do not want you to be here and just let the weight fall. That's a really easy way to injure our shoulder. So we're gonna be here, lower it to our chest, and then roll the weight off of us. So, that was the Turkish Get Up. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below.